Delver of the Cryptic broke me. I slept on this event only for it to lobotomize my head, and now it is living completely rent-free. If I knew how much I'd like this event sooner, I would have been more excited about the next Delver of the Cryptic with Wuling puzzles. I look forward to see how Hypergriff improves on this event over time, since this was such a great first impression. This puzzle event made me do perfect finishes for the entire event without any sort of incentive apart from the fact that I loved the puzzles. The main highlights of this event is how it dangles a carrot on you to complete everything, as you can potentially miss storage crates, and its puzzles poking on your brain enough to leave you wanting more. You know an event is good when my main gripes with it is just that there isn't enough puzzles, and now I want it to be more complex over time. So instead of wasting your time talking about why the event, let's talk about the hows of the event, being its levels. If you've done any of the Valley 4 exploration puzzles before, Pressure Sensitive should be very familiar. You would carry crates to pressure plates or use them to jump to places you aren't able to. This level was a great introduction to Delver of the Cryptic. Simple but fun. It gets you curious in terms of how you can use these crates to explore and move around, and move them to the pressure plates once that curiosity is satiated. This level also introduces storage crates you can collect, which is something I will continue to elaborate on as I talk about all the other levels. Just like how this is the introduction to the event, this is just the start of the video. The most iconic part of the exploration of Aubrey Quarry is the crane. It is one of my favorite zones due to you literally connecting the zone together. So going into crane support, I enjoyed operating the cranes so that they align to where I want to go. Again, this isn't difficult by any means, but understanding the sequence of operating all these cranes to get to point A to point B will never not be satisfying to my silly brain. It also introduces the cranes that move based on where your operator is standing on it, which is a nice change of pace since your operator is physically moving the crane to get to your destination. Overall, this level tickles my brain in all the right ways. And this is also the level I realized that the storage crates aren't going to be placed in the most obvious spots, which upon the realization of getting 1 out of 3 of the storage crates, I retried the entire level until I found every last one of these crates. Thinking about it now, Delver of the Cryptic seems like a very fun event to speedrun as a self-imposed challenge. I could do a fun speedrun of the entire event if you guys are interested in seeing that. I will not be talking about Ride the Wind that much, considering that this is basically just get to the finish line as quickly as possible. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, so naturally I fall off the edge like the silly goober that I am and decided I'm going to lock in afterwards. But anyways though, it was fun, but this is just a teaser of what's to come to timer-based levels much later on. You have probably noticed by now that if you completed secondary objectives in this event, if the level had one, it gives you bonus progression rewards. This is a nice incentive for those like me who likes to do perfect completion, and to be honest, even without it, I'd still be doing these secondary objectives since it activates a part of my brain that craves to check off that checklist. I think not locking pull currency to these goals are nice as you don't feel forced to do them if you do not want to. I will always say this in my videos, but I think not locking pull currency behind self-imposed challenges is one of the things that I really like when it comes to how Arknights Endfield handles their events. It ends up not feeling forced, but instead, I engage with the content because I want to and not because of the rewards. For now though, this was a good first impression of the event. It triggers a part of my brain that left me wanting more puzzles. Nagulat lang ako kasi biglang nawala ako. Hindi ako handa mawala sa isang maze. The other 3 levels before this have been relatively easy, with the crane support level having storage crates you can miss if you are not looking. But this level threw me off when I realized na may nakatira sa isang pader. While I will not be showing you the entire level, as I want to give you this sense of allure, this feeling of being lost inside a never-ending maze. Tandaan mo itong mga numero sa pader. Kailangan mo to para makaalis ka dito mamaya. I will not be elaborating when you need to implement them, but this is the only tip I will give you on this level. Binaliktad nila yung script para lang dito sa level, kaya naging paborito ko ito. To add on to this, the third storage crate isn't as easy to spot. Ito ang hinahanap kong puzzle nung nilaro ko ang Delver of the Cryptic. This level is exactly when I realized that I slept on this event, and I wish I can redo the 5th survey they gave out so that I can make suggestions to do more puzzles like this. Madali lang yung mismong level pag alam mo na kung saan ka pupunta, but the feeling of being in an unfamiliar place and how the level was designed intentionally to lead you into dead ends or loops are amazing. Hypergrift, please let me glaze this on the surveys, and I beg for more of this type of content in the game. I need this type of level design in my gacha game. If I were to describe Heat Interception, this is the cooler version of Ride the Wind. It is way better in every way, as you now have lasers to worry about. Also, yes, my massive skill issue is in this level too, so that stayed very consistent. It gives you the spy, thriller vibes of going through the obstacle and escape a bad encounter. I loved that when you fell down the floor, there's a bunch of terminals you had to press to go through. It does a great job giving you a sense of urgency when it comes to finishing the level. Overall, it's a nice break from the difficulty spike Industrial Labyrinth provided. You use explosives to interact with the level, or you could just hit the generator with your weapon. If I had a level that I liked the least from this event, it would have to be External Detonation. It's not even that interacting with the level is bad, it's just the explosives take way too long to recharge, so you'll end up waiting for it instead of actually doing something. It doesn't even have the excuse the crane has where you're actively trying to move them in the proper direction, and if you know where to move them, you can do the level much faster. Sure, you're supposed to use them in a way where you deactivate all the obstacles faster, but there are parts of the level where I am just waiting even if I threw my explosives properly.
Want a break from the ads?
Like, it doesn't even give me any sort of satisfaction solving this, nor does it reward you for good play. Easy puzzles aren't bad, but when you are just standing there until you can do something, kills the pacing. The level itself isn't bad. In fact, some of the levels in this event are arguably worse than this one, but it is a bit underwhelming in comparison to the previous puzzles. Long Ear Invitation tests your observation skills. As you can see, I'm not very observative, so I missed a very obvious spot to one of the long ears during my first run. I am not going to tell you which one I missed, but I think the best way for me to represent this puzzle is to show you my first run of it. This is probably the only puzzle from Delver of the Cryptic where I show you my entire run. I had to replay this level multiple times because I kept missing the long ears. This level has a lot of visual clutter all over it, and the fact that the long ears are the same color as the grass doesn't help with locating them. Yes, even with the yellow footprints, because like I said, it already has a lot of visual clutter. I do not hate this level. In fact, it's one of the highlights since it challenges you in a way where it makes you pay attention and not just rush through things. This isn't that hard, but it's so easy to miss them, and I love being challenged this way where I actually have to look at what I am doing. It tells you to slow down and be perceptive of your surroundings. In other words, I am trying to explain why this level took me 4 attempts. Yes, 4 attempts to find all the long ears, and no, it's not because I'm a dummy, okay? I'm not trying to distract you from the fact that I missed the most obvious spot while getting all the spots that aren't that obvious at first glance. If I have to describe my experience with Ode to Bombardment, that would be me complaining about it because I have no idea which way to turn on a light bulb. This level threw me off. It's so easy, and someone could attempt this level first try and finish it fast, but I kept going the wrong way for some reason. And cherry on top, I got 2 out of 3 storage crates for this level, so I had to retry it the second time around. I just didn't really like the level. You can call it skill issue and stuff like that, but I think overall it's an okay level. So you know how Heat Inception felt like a spy thriller where you are escaping a death trap? This flips it on its head and said you're doing a heist. Steal the valuables and leave without triggering any of the lasers. Let's just say that the problem of being incapable of doing simple tasks is a common occurrence to me personally. To be honest, I actually don't have much to say from this level apart from the fact that it does a good job at making you feel like you're on a heist mission. And it's overall very fun. So that is my review of the Delver of the Cryptic event and its levels. As I was playing through the event, I realized that you can actually get a trimmed medal for it. Yes, I did not even know. I finished Beam Dodger, and next thing I know, I saw a trimmed medal. I did perfect runs because I enjoyed the mode enough that I wanted to interact with its puzzles and all the trails it leads you on, not because I was expecting a prize by the end of it. I purposely excluded this fact as a way for you to realize that I am someone who like engaging in gameplay mechanics that are enjoyable and fun. I didn't even need a trimmed medal to do it for me. I am going to beat this point like a dead horse, but I love being rewarded like this for solving every puzzles perfectly and doing all the optional quests. Hypergriff, I look forward for more trimmed medals, and at some point, you might need to add more medal slots because how in the hell am I supposed to show off to the community if I run out of slots to put them in?